value. Then there's foot-long value. Because size matters.
The Good Life is good for more than just bulky biceps, bodacious booties. It's good for snoring and she who hates snoring. Good for brain muscles, heart muscles, group muscles. Good for social time, selfie time, anytime. Good Life. Good for life.
I found love where it never belonged.
To shave or not to shave? Shave, edge, ooh, ha. Trim, edge, shave, trim. To shave or not to shave? That. One Blade 360. Trim, edge and shave.
Frankie said she's a fan of impersonation, but not of people impersonating Australia Post. That's why we've made all delivery updates available on the AusPost app, so she'll know they're from us and us alone. You ask, we deliver at Australia Post.
I was born with half an arm. I've never ever made it a limitation.
I don't know what to hold on to.
14 Aussies, $1 million.
That's one of the big reasons that I decided to do this. I've never done anything this challenging. Our dog out.
The New Summit, Sunday, May 12 on 9.
Tonight, a 17-year-old girl charged with murder over the death of her 10-year-old sister at Lake Macquarie.
Bonza grounded. Passengers left stranded as the cut-price airline plunges into voluntary administration.
Half a tonne of cocaine seized and 3 Lake Macquarie men arrested in a drug bust at a Queensland boat ramp.
Parts of northern New South Wales facing potential flooding as more than a week of rain settles in.
And D-Day for Under Siege Rabbitohs coach Jason Demetrio.
This is NBN News with Gavin Morris and Natasha Beyersdorf.
Good evening. A 17-year-old girl has been charged with murder following the stabbing death of her 10-year-old sister in the Lake Macquarie suburb of Bullaroo.
Police have formed a strike force to investigate the horrific incident, which has left a community reeling.
A quiet Bullaroo street becomes a sea of red and blue lights as police begin their investigation into the death of a 10-year-old girl, allegedly stabbed late yesterday afternoon. Her 17-year-old sister under arrest.
My wife went out and asked the policeman what was happening, and he said, "You don't want to know. It's been a nasty situation."
It's horrible, absolutely horrible.
This morning, the teenager was charged with murder as forensic officers returned to the home. Locals still in disbelief.
Oh, everyone's in shock. It's really hit home that it's a 10-year-old girl. It's next level, what can you say? And that's the feeling, we just don't know how to absorb it.
Police have now set up a strike force called Upstream to investigate the moments leading up to what is an unimaginable family tragedy.
The young 10-year-old suffered multiple stab wounds to the upper body area.
There's no indications from what the information we have at the moment to indicate why this occurred.
Investigators say the older sister had no criminal history and was not known to police. The matter was briefly mentioned in children's court. The 17-year-old didn't appear and remains in custody, with the case to be heard again in June. Police say the isolated incident fits into a sad statewide trend.
We have seen at least for the start of this year, a large number of acts of violence that resulted in deaths, and a lot of them have been females.
Lauren Kemp, NBN News.
Police are right now at a unit block in Sydney after the body of a 19-year-old woman was found inside. A 32-year-old man who was known to the teenager was arrested at the scene in North Bondi and taken to Waverley Police Station. At this stage, it's unclear how the young woman died.
The Albanese government has been accused of failing to protect the community from immigration detainees with serious criminal backgrounds. Tonight, we can reveal the former detainee accused of bashing a Perth grandmother had previously been given bail multiple times.
This is the face of policy and system failure.
I thought I was dying.
Ninette Simons was bashed in a home by a group of men, one of whom is allegedly a convicted criminal released from immigration detention.
To watch an elderly lady walk away with those bruises, to the way in which she and her husband were treated, is appalling.
And I'm sure the thoughts of all Australians will be with those who've been affected.
Iranian Majid Jamshidi Dukushkan faces 5 charges, including aggravated robbery and assault. But it's not the 43-year-old's first brush with the law since arriving in Australia by boat in 2011. Convicted of serious drug offences in 2017, he was sentenced to 8 years jail. Released in August 2021, he was put back into immigration detention, but released into the community after the High Court decision last November. 2 months later, he faced court for unlicensed driving and bailed. 2 weeks later, he was in court again for breaking his curfew. He was bailed. April 4, he was charged with unlicensed driving while under the influence of drugs, bailed again. April 13, he was charged with possessing prohibited and controlled prescription drugs and bailed once more. 2 days later, he was allegedly involved in the brutal home invasion.
It's even made worse by the fact that this individual, on what we know, should have been out on the streets.
We need to continually look at our bail laws to see how they can be updated.
After the High Court ruled that indefinite immigration detention was unlawful, 154 people were released, the government promising a preventative detention regime
to detain the worst of the worst offenders.
Almost 5 months later, no one's been re-detained under the regime.
Literally everything within the power of the federal government is being done to keep Australians safe.
If that is the case, the government might want to explain why it's taking so long to deliver the community protections it promised. Andrew Probyn, NBN News.
Parts of New South Wales are in for a soaking over the next week, with the Weather Bureau warning of the potential for flash flooding. Hundreds of millimetres are expected to fall along the coast, which could even see a low form over the weekend.
Rain on the horizon approaches the Entrance Channel, signalling the arrival of wet weather expected to last more than a week across much of the state. SES volunteers today getting ready.
We've had people collecting for the last few days down here and at Wyong, and both units at Wyong and Gosford will be increasing their stockpiles in preparation should residents want to come down and help themselves.
The Bureau is forecasting daily downpours of up to 50 millimetres across the Central Coast, Hunter, Mid-North and North Coasts for the next 6 to 7 days, while Tamworth will be a little drier, predicting only around 10 millimetres from Friday and into the weekend. A southerly wind change made its way across the east coast this morning, while storm clouds rolled over the port of Newcastle this morning as the rain settled in.
Heavier rainfall, expected during the weekend, if that eventuates, may pose a risk of flash flooding.
The Central Coast and Hunter regions set to be hardest hit. Council crews today undertaking flood preparedness at the Entrance Channel to increase the flow of water out of Tuggerah Lakes in the event of a flash flood. This impressive spout spotted off Boomerang Beach today as the wet weather arrived on the mid-north coast. People urged to prepare now.
The weekend may be even wetter with the potential for heavier falls because of the deepening of the coastal trough.
The Bureau of Meteorology says an east coast low could form on the weekend between the Central Coast and Coffs Coast, and that could bring back the threat of flooding rain. A familiar warning, ever more important tonight.
Take it extremely carefully, and if it's a known spot where you can get flash flooding and cars are drowning, just turn around. Don't go through it.
Bianca Wirt, NBN News.
So let's take a look as this significant wet weather event begins. The defined front triggered showers and thunderstorms from the northwest to the mid-north coast, with southerly winds increasing today. The wet weather will extend north, moving into southeast Queensland. Now on Friday, an upper-level cold feature is going to trigger widespread rain across the northwest, with heavy falls embedded. Over the weekend, the upper-level feature may trigger the formation of that east coast low, which could return the threat of coastal flooding, strong winds and large seas. Its exact location and formation details are not yet confirmed, but the threat area is going to remain at this point in between the Central and Coffs Coast regions.
Budget airline Bonza is tonight in voluntary administration, grounding all flights and leaving thousands stranded Australia-wide. Passengers today lashed out at the carrier, which gave no notice before its planes were towed from the tarmac.
Proof Bonza's been flying by the seat of its pants. The entire fleet repossessed on the tarmac this morning as passengers waited at the gate in Melbourne.
I've got nothing from Bonza. No email, nothing on my flight, nothing.
If you have any check-in baggage, then you can just get it and leave.
None. My sister actually sent me a message. She lives in Queensland to say
Bonza was cancelled, and I jumped online and I couldn't see anything. So we just sort of jumped straight into an Uber to get here just in case.
The collapse destroying a mercy dash for Tracy Hilbert.
The crew come in about 5:45 and said that that's been cancelled. I've actually had my father pass away last night. Sorry,
Tracy, we're so sorry.
So I needed to get up here.
On the Gold Coast, Sky Cooney and her family stranded, unable to get home to Darwin.
I was pretty upset. I just wanted to get home.
A little bit frustrating. Got to cancel work and plans at home and more costs and all the rest.
Bonza first took flight 15 months ago. With a business model some thought too good to be true, Bonza was supposed to connect regional Australia via direct flights. Places like Gladstone, Bundaberg and Mildura could get tickets as cheap as $49. But the Australian aviation industry has long been turbulent. It was rocked by the collapse of Ansett in 2001 and other players like Compass and more recently Tiger Airways.
We are a small market and it is always very difficult for new entrants.
Bonza's statement this morning said it's temporarily suspended services due to be operated today as discussions are underway regarding the ongoing viability of the business. A mayday call the industry saw coming.
It's very serious and it's final. The chances of Bonza being resurrected from here after going into voluntary administration are virtually nil. I think sadly this is the end of Bonza.
Bonza, which for the moment has been wiped from the screens here at Melbourne Airport, is backed by the Miami-based 777 Partners, an outfit which has long faced allegations of not honouring its financial commitments. Today's collapse halting all future Bonza flight bookings.
We've also had our sponsor not to continue selling tickets right at the moment until they have some certainty.
Qantas and Virgin stepping in to repatriate passengers like Tracy Herbert, who was stranded between destinations, offering free flights.
The manager there come to me 3 times through the flight to ask me if I was okay.
By this afternoon, the budget airline had gone into voluntary administration, realising the fear the airline that marketed itself with Aussie slang doesn't have a brass razoo.
That's crap.
Laura Turner, NBN News.
And Bonza's cancellations meant Newcastle passengers bound for the Whitsundays and Sunshine Coast were also left stranded. Newcastle Airport says it's monitoring the situation closely and looks forward to services resuming as soon as possible. Passengers with upcoming bookings are being urged to contact Bonza directly.
Australia's energy transition is taking shape and developers are setting their sights on land in the Hunter. But local councils say progress is moving faster than bureaucratic processes and they're calling on the state government for more support.
There are $100 billion worth of renewable energy projects in the pipeline for New South Wales, and regional councils say assessing the complex applications is taking a toll.
It does, because it takes our planners away from the dwelling assessments and the other smaller assessments that are coming through.
Upper Hunter Shire is flanked by 3 renewable energy zones. There are 6 projects proposed for the council area itself and more being discussed. It's also the nexus for new transmission lines, connecting power generators to the grid.
But we've been left out of the Energy Co's $250,000, initiative to fund planners to assess all these applications.
Last night, councillors agreed to write to the state government asking for funding to hire 2 new planners. And late today, a breakthrough, with Energy Co saying the Shire will get the cash this year. Just down the road here at Muswellbrook, the council is also dealing with the impacts of the energy transition. It's calling on the state government to be proactive with planning.
We can't wait until 2026 or 2028. We really need that happening now, so we've got that certainty. Otherwise, Muswellbrook will be off the edge of a cliff.
BHP's Mount Arthur coal mine employs more than 2,000 people and it's currently seeking an extension to operate until 2030. But local Mayor Steve Reynolds wants the mine's offset land to be rezoned for new developments now to ensure an easier transition for workers. He says the land is tied up in red tape and it's already cost Muswellbrook the chance to host new businesses.
If we can't provide the space for them to be at right now, these are self-funded businesses. One was for 400 employees that we lost to a northern interstate area. That we don't want to be seeing that happening anymore.
The planning department says it will consider opportunities to provide flexible land use options. Tony Abergetti, NBN News.
A new recreation area could be on the way for Murrurundi, with Upper Hunter councillors voting to decommission the town's dam and seek funding for an alternative use of the site.
Next step is we need to lower the dam to comply with the Dam Safety Commission, so there will be some work happening fairly soon to lower the dam, but as part of that we'll also be seeking to do the master plan and work with the community.
While it would no longer be a secondary water source, the dam could provide water for aerial firefighting.
The Hunters' jobless rate fell to 3.1% last month, putting it 0.7 below the state average. New figures also show the region saw a 10% rise in jobs advertised, with more than 5,000 new positions offered. But Business Hunter says employers are still struggling to manage staff shortages, with skilled workers also in high demand.
The Min's government says it will consider using new technology to manage sharks in New South Wales waters. It comes as data reveals more than 100 other animals have died after being stuck in shark nets since September.
It's scenes like this that Newcastle councillor Charlotte McCabe wants the state government to put a stop to.
It's just unacceptable and it's really disturbing.
Shark nets were removed from the Hunters coastline today, marking the end of beach patrol season, with the Humane Society pointing to new data from the Department of Primary Industries, showing 134 members of other species have died in New South Wales shark nets since September.
Sharks can very easily swim around them. All they're doing is mostly killing non-target species.
42 animals were found dead in Central Coast nets last year. 36 more became tangled off Lake Macquarie. 10 rays, 4 turtles, a whale and 21 sharks. 2 of those great whites, the only ones meant to be caught. The Humane Society International says the Stockton Beach shark net is the deadliest in the state due to an offshore gully bringing in abundance of sea life into the area. It says 266 animals have been caught here since 2012. The DPI today confirmed it will consider reassessing nets and moving towards new technologies.
The nets program costs $1.8 million a year. We would really love to see that funding into more drones.
The Australian UAV service says shark spotting drones are active across the Hunter and successfully protecting swimmers.
Drones actually have a speaker attachment on them, so we can also alert the people around the shark, the surfers that can't hear the shark alarm on the beach, and evacuate the beach until we can deem it clear.
Risa Utama, NBN News.
The Calvary Mater Hospital has held a series of workshops designed to help cancer patients through their very personal journeys. Called Look Good, Feel Better, the sessions centred around topics such as hair loss, nutrition and mindfulness.
I'm always saying, we try and help with the outside while the doctors and nurses help with the inside. So a lot of people obviously going through cancer will lose their hair, will have effects to their skin and things like that. So we actually help them with all of that.
The program was run as part of Health's Human Experience Week.
Well, as expected, the change moved in this morning. The southerly at first, cloud increased, the rain reaching us by lunchtime and building into this evening along with the winds and the seas, and temperatures have been held down. We only maxed out in the low 20s across the region throughout today.
Still ahead in NBN News, the moment authorities swoop on 3 Lake Macquarie men at a boat ramp and seized 500 kilos of cocaine.
Queensland parents lobby the Min's government for a knife crime crackdown.
And drivers on the New England Highway cop an unexpected car wash.
Crafted just for you, the Saxon Dining Collection is Australian-made and exclusive to Domain. Customise the shape, size and timber stain to elevate your home. Perfect for small spaces, the Saxon offers subtle sophistication, functional for family life. Come together and make memories in the heart of your home. The Saxon adapts with you, simple and elegant. 3 looks, 1 collection. Domain, your home of customisation.
You can't escape it. You're faced with choices every day. The ones you make, or the ones you don't. Some choices are easy, and some not. All choices lead you somewhere, but the right choice takes you to where you're supposed to be. In truth, there's not one right choice for everyone. But whatever choice you face, we're here to help. Hunter Primary Care.
You can have what you crave at the Crave Club.
Fibre 190 calorie. Have what you crave.
Oh, so gentle. Coach.
One Blade 360. Trim, edge and shave effortlessly.
Do you have Dash Pass? Get $0 delivery fees on Macca's orders over $20 on DoorDash. Enjoy all your Macca's favourites and savings exclusive to Dash Pass holders. Smash it. DoorDash it.
So I heard you're back in town and haven't changed a bit. Time you get what you deserve.
Both teams getting ready to battle.
So you wanna play me? Are you big enough?
Skill, power and passion. This is intense as footy gets. We are ready for Origin footy. Cheers, just all power.
Money, I've changed so much since I left.
For the first time in women's Origin history, a blockbuster 3-match series.
Oh, baby, don't tell me I didn't warn you.
It's a huge game for those women out on the big stage.
Ampol Women's State of Origin. Exclusive, live and free. Only on 9 and 9 now.
Police have arrested 3 Lake Macquarie men over an alleged plot to smuggle 500 kilos of cocaine into Queensland on a small fishing boat. Authorities have seized an estimated $160 million haul and sent a warning to syndicates attempting at-sea drops.
Under cover of darkness, a small fishing boat glides into a tiny boat ramp near Gladstone. It docks, a car and trailer reversing in to meet it. But this fishing trip has allegedly netted an illegal haul. A search of the boat revealing 500 kilograms of cocaine in waterproof bags, now in the hands of police.
An estimated value of more than 162 million.
It was a delicate operation.
Finding an 8-metre vessel in Queensland is a needle in a haystack.
3 men are accused of driving from New South Wales to Queensland, then from Gladstone, using the small boat to meet a large ship offshore. After their arrest at the Boyne Island boat ramp, a nearby motel in Tannum Sands was raided, as were 2 homes in Newcastle and the Central Coast. A cargo ship anchored in the port of Gladstone is now under investigation.
This alleged attempt to collect cocaine from the ocean shows the extreme lengths that criminals will go to.
The AFP says it's investigating which criminal syndicates are involved in this alleged attempt, describing it as the 3rd significant seizure of cocaine in Queensland just this month.
While these crime syndicates are relentless, so are we.
Anna Rawlings, NBN News.
The Minns government is mulling over a push for greater police search powers to combat knife crime. The parents of Jack Beasley, who was stabbed to death in Queensland, today lobbied for change south of the border. But the police minister wants to see more evidence first.
Queensland parents bringing their own weapon in the fight against knife crime in Sydney.
There is no doubt about it that this little wand is saving lives.
Hello. Good to see you. Brett and Belinda Beasley sitting down with our Attorney General and Police Minister, lobbying for New South Wales to adopt Jack's Law, sweeping police powers introduced north of the border after their 17-year-old son was stabbed to death 5 years ago.
Jack's Law helps our kids be safe out in the community.
Jack's Law allows Queensland Police to use handheld metal detector wands to search people in night precincts and on public transport without suspicion of wrongdoing, operations netting 500 weapons in just 12 months. Here in New South Wales, stop and search powers are currently restricted to when officers believe a person is likely carrying a dangerous implement, but a spate of attacks in Sydney has spurred calls for change.
Creating a deterrence against having a habit of carrying knives in public anywhere in New South Wales to reduce knife crime and ultimately save lives.
Since the fatal stabbing of a teenager at Doonside on the 12th of April, at least 32 people have been knifed in New South Wales. That includes the horrifying Bondi Junction rampage, the alleged Wakely terrorist attack, and last night, more harm. A man allegedly chased and slashed at Hebersham in front of children playing in a park. Police say the accused, a 25-year-old man, has a history of knife possession.
A number of other civilians that were there detained that man, and police arrived and he was arrested.
While there is a will for a knife crime crackdown in New South Wales, changes may not mirror what's been implemented in Queensland because of concerns from within the Minns government that random searches could lead to the potential for racial profiling.
We need to make sure, if we're going to make these changes to our legislation and policy, that we do it right.
They might make some slight changes as opposed to our Queensland government, and that's fine, but as long as it's a wanding law.
And they'd want it known as Jack's Law here too. At State Parliament, Liz Daniels, NBN News.
David Shiraz, the fiancé of Brittany Higgins, has told a court he won't fight the defamation case brought by Linda Reynolds. The WA Senator is suing Ms Higgins and Mr Shiraz for damages over several social media posts she claimed falsely defamed her. Mr Shiraz says he can't afford to pay legal costs for the 6-week trial, which was due to start on July 24. Ms Higgins is still pursuing the action, today asking for the trial to be delayed.
Drivers on the New England Highway copped a deluge this afternoon, and it had nothing to do with the weather. Hunter Waters says a main on the highway at Lochinvar was accidentally hit at about 1 p.m. during work to repair an ageing reservoir. It's expected residents at Harpers Hill, Greta and Lochinvar will have either no water or low pressure until approximately 8 o'clock. Coming up next, Israel launches a deadly new attack in Gaza amid ceasefire talks.
Also ahead, the flu breakthrough that could mean the end of yearly jabs.
And a top-end teenager lands a life-changing catch.
It's days like these. Rediscovering a new freedom. New time for friends and fun. Finding new creative expressions. Living in a luxury home we've always wanted. In a luxury world-class resort. The time to look after myself. And finding myself again and again. This is my time at Palm Lake Resort.
Frankie said she's a fan of impersonation, but not of people impersonating Australia Post. That's why we've made all delivery updates available on the AusPost app, so she'll know they're from us, and us alone. You ask, we deliver at Australia Post.
Kia's getting to you.
Yeah? What's it called?
She'll call it the Kia Tugger.
Nah, the Volk's got a nice ring to it.
If it's rings they're after, surely the Kia Big Del.
Kia Watson?
Oh, God!
Oh, forget it.
Big Del. Kia Tasman. That's pretty good.
Kia. Movement that inspires. With impact.
Here's a little thanks for...
They're more than chicken McNuggets.
Hard work.
They're team builders. Get more for your money at Macca's with 24 chicken McNuggets for just $9.95.
Are you thinking al fresco and looking for something simple? Call HV Aluminium.
Are you looking for something stylish? Call HV Aluminium.
Or are looking for ideas to design something stunning?
If you're thinking al fresco, call or visit HV Aluminium New Lambton, 1-800-801-572.
Where to from here? Will your life ever be the same? Are you getting what's fair, not just what's offered? Talk to Slater and Gordon, and we'll take it from here.
You're watching NBN News. These are our top local stories. A 17-year-old girl has been charged with murder following the stabbing death of her 10-year-old sister in the Lake Macquarie suburb of Boolaroo. Low-cost carrier Bonza has cancelled all flights indefinitely, leaving the future of its services to Tamworth, Newcastle, Port Macquarie and the Gold Coast up in the air. Hundreds of millimetres of rain are expected to fall along the New South Wales coast over coming days, with the potential for an east coast low to form this weekend. The first sod has been turned at the site of a new $25 million multi-purpose building at Kingscliff TAFE campus, housing courses from animal studies to aviation. And a trial of 4 electric buses has begun for school services in Armidale and Tweed Heads, as the New South Wales government works towards a zero-emissions fleet.
World leaders are urging Hamas to accept a ceasefire deal that could lead to months of peace. But with talks at a crucial stage, Israel launched a new deadly attack inside Gaza.
A family's grief, another child victim of Israel's deadly war in Gaza. More than 20 people killed by an airstrike in Rafah. This man says everyone was asleep when the bombs dropped. The city at the border with Egypt is also the target of a planned Israeli military invasion, but there's hope that can be avoided.
The quickest way to bring this to an end is to get to a ceasefire and the release of hostages.
US Secretary of State Antony Blinken is on another desperate push for peace in the Middle East, visiting Saudi Arabia, then Jordan and Israel. In Egypt, Hamas is in talks with mediators. An Israeli delegation is on the way.
The only thing standing between the people of Gaza and a ceasefire is Hamas. They have to decide. And they have to decide quickly.
All the pressure in the world and all the eyes of the world should be on them today, saying take that deal.
That deal is in 2 phases. The first, a 40-day pause in fighting in exchange for the release of 33 Israeli hostages held by Hamas. The second, what is being called a restoration of sustainable calm, with all remaining hostages to be released in exchange for Palestinian prisoners.
Bring Keith back to me. Bring back my hope.
This is the closest the sides have been to an agreement in months. Today, US President Joe Biden spoke with the leaders of the mediators, Qatar and Egypt. Eyes now on Israel and Hamas to see if they can agree for the violence to stop. Jonathan Kersley, NBN News.
9 men accused of plotting to overthrow the German government have gone on trial in Stuttgart. It's alleged the group was behind a far-right plan to stage a coup and replace the country's chancellor. They're facing charges of high treason and terrorism.
Australian scientists are a step closer to developing a universal flu vaccine. Reporter Vicky Jardim has the details.
This could see the end of the annual flu jab, leading to a universal vaccine that doesn't need to be updated every year. Scientists at the Peter Doherty Institute for Infection and Immunity made the exciting discovery. 9 viral fragments of influenza B that, unlike others, do not change. At the moment, influenza vaccines need to be adapted every year because strains of the virus are constantly mutating. Researchers found the 9 fragments sparked a promising immune response from killer T cells, which help your immune system fight viruses and harmful cells like cancer. This study brings the total to 27 viral fragments, providing more options for vaccine development.
The research is extremely exciting. We are highly passionate about T cells as they provide long-term, long-lasting immune responses.
An annual flu vaccine is recommended for everyone over the age of 6 months old.
Coles has announced a whopping $10 billion in sales for the quarter, just weeks after it defended grocery prices at a Senate inquiry. Here's Chris Kohler.
Coles wants its shareholders to know how well it's doing, but doesn't want to celebrate too hard in front of customers, so a bit of a tightrope. Just 2 weeks ago, CEO Leah Wickett was before the Senate inquiry defending how much money the company is making. And today, she announced sales added up to $10 billion over just the first 3 months of the year. Shareholders figured that was about right, and the stock only fell slightly today. The market overall ticked higher, with Qantas on the rise as Bonza heads into administration, and the Aussie fell after retail sales data came in weak, which has implications for interest rates. Speaking of, Commonwealth Bank economists no longer expect 3 rate cuts this year. They now say it'll be a slower and longer process, but they still say we should have a cut in November.
A 19-year-old Northern Territory fisherman has landed a life-changing catch, winning the major prize in Australia's richest fishing competition. Keegan Payne reeled in $1 million tagged barramundi and plans to help out his mum and dad.
A single spotlight casts a dramatic glow on the tug-of-war unfolding between a young Northern Territory man and this barra. 19-year-old Keegan Payne managing to wrangle the 67-centimetre barra onto the banks, not knowing this fish would soon change his life.
You are the winner of the $1 million fish.
Maybe help Dad and Mum out with the home loans and that.
Yeah.
Well done.
$1 million, a prize many fishers had been hunting for the past 9 years.
Yeah, we were freaking out. We nearly crashed the boat, getting back to the boat ramp, but yeah, it was good.
But it may not have all been celebrations today if it weren't for the eagle-eyed eyesight of his younger sister.
We were holding it with lip grips like that, and she actually spotted it, and I didn't see it. We're as blind as bats. They were going to take it home and eat it, but lucky I seen the red tag.
The Territory local wasting no time in purchasing his heart's desire.
3, 2, 1. Well, I'm buying a new boat, the Savo, and maybe the Savo and a new car.
There's been no rest for Keegan. Despite reeling in the $1 million on Sunday, he was already back out on the water yesterday. The competition for this season isn't over just yet. Almost $110,000 fish remain out in Territory waterways that can still go off until midnight tonight.
If you're out there fishing today, there could still be another winner tonight or tomorrow, announced tomorrow morning.
George Dickerson, NBN News.
Worthy recipient.
What a haul. Amazing.
Absolutely. Well done. Good stuff. Let's move to sport now with Sophie Scanlon.
So for dramatic day at Souths.
The board has held 2 meetings to discuss the future of coach Jason Demetrio. So does he still have a job? We're live to our reporter next, and we'll hear from Demetrio himself. Also ahead, all eyes on Jacob Saifiti ahead of Newcastle's clash with the Warriors, and the Swans refuse to bite back ahead of their AFL derby.
Win the ultimate games experience in Paris 2024 at Harvey Norman. 3 major prizes to be won with a total prize pool of over $100,000. You could win a trip for 2 to the Paris 2024 Olympic or Paralympic Games, or a Harvey Norman gift card valued at $10,000. Simply purchase any product over $200 and enter the draw for your chance to win the ultimate games experience in Paris 2024. Now at Harvey Norman.
I love a sunburnt country. A land of sweeping plains, of ragged mountain ranges, of drought and flooding rains. When the lucky country isn't so lucky.
Lucky you're with Amy.
Hear that? That's the sound of you winning. Because while you didn't miss a second of your team picking up their 3rd consecutive loss, a dedicated dasher was picking up pizza with chicken salt chips. Step up to the podium, my friend, because you have smashed it.
You have power with PowerShop.
Board meeting this morning to decide his future as coach, and we'll have the latest from our reporter in a moment. The Panthers have been watching events with interest ahead of their clash with the Rabbitohs, and they admit it's hard not to feel for their opponents. A champion team, the Panthers rarely show their opponents mercy, but even they have sympathy for the unfolding situation at South Sydney.
It's pretty tough, we are footballers, it's our job, but we're also people away from football, and, some of the criticism that you cop, it's unwarranted sometimes, and, you do feel for them.
That won't translate to the footy field, though. After surviving a late scare from the Cowboys, the Panthers are determined to make this week a perfect performance.
There's a lot of errors, I think, that certainly weren't forced. So I think that's something we can sort of fix up.
After an incredible defensive effort, the calls are growing louder for Dylan Edwards to be handed and says he has all the attributes for that arena.
He's the sort of player that will go above and beyond and do whatever it takes for the team, and I think that's the sort of player that suits Origin. And, I think this year he's gone to even another level. The first few rounds he's been our best player, I reckon, week in, week out. So I think he deserves a crack.
Bulldogs coach Cameron Ciraldo has defended the club as they face a $4 million lawsuit from former player Jackson Torpenay. Ciraldo says the NRL is a unique workplace and can't be compared to that of a normal office.
Well, it is. It's a different workplace, and it's not for everyone. It's a tough environment. It's a tough game, and it's just different. It's hard to do, and if it wasn't hard, everyone would be doing it.
Danica Mason, NBN News. The Knights will be keeping a close eye on Jacob Saifiti this week after naming him for Sunday's clash against the Warriors. The front rower left the field with a lower leg complaint last weekend. Adam O'Brien has selected the same 17 that beat the Dolphins, with Greg Marju and Jed Cartwright also named after being cleared of serious injury. There's still no sign of Tyson Frizzell, who has been sidelined with a hamstring injury since round 4. Returning to the Bunnies now, and while the club's board met this morning to decide Jason Demetrio's future, by the time he left, he still had his job. Danny Weidler has the latest.
JD or not JD? That was the question when Demetrio arrived early with boots in hand for training, preparing the Rabbits for a match he was no certainty of coaching. Metres away, the board was meeting. They were locked away for 3 hours. Players emerged and eventually Demetrio walked into a media storm. Jace, you got anything to say about today at all?
Trained well. I'm looking forward to coming in to train tomorrow.
So you feel safe? You got the job still?
I'm prepping for tomorrow's training and see how we go. It's been a good day. The boys train well.
How are you?
I'm all right. This is fun.
Is it hard with all this around you?
It's not easy, yeah. It's, but it is what it is. It's a big club. We're not performing, so questions have to be asked. I understand that. I respect it.
The coach taking all the heat for a team which has just one win this season and faces the might of Penrith in 2 nights' time.
The boys have been outstanding. It's never been an issue. They're a tight group. We're battling with injuries at the moment. You know, half a squad missing, and they keep turning up, and they'll turn up on Thursday night as well.
You're still on the job, obviously, Jace.
100%. I love coaching this club. It's one of the proudest things in my life, so yeah, 100% want to keep doing it.
Danny Weidler, NBN News.
GWS lit the match, but the Swans won't add fuel to the fire, refusing to trash talk their local rivals. Coach John Longmire is far more interested in the Giants' on-field spark, admitting he may make changes this week to try and stop them.
They're a great team at the moment, and they've got some young players that have come in and done a great job. So, you know, I've sort of been looking at that and trying to move our magnets around as well.
Longmire is hopeful Luke Parker and Dane Ramp will be available for selection. A brilliant fourth quarter surge from Aussie Josh Giddey has helped the Thunder clean sweep the Pelicans in round 1 of the NBA playoffs. Giddey banking 14 points in the 97-89 victory. LeBron James has plenty of time to consider his future after the Lakers were swept by the Denver Nuggets. The superstar is now weighing up whether to become a free agent. Next, the comeback continues. Rafael Nadal endures his toughest test yet on the road to Roland Garros.
Not working from Hovel? No, my lord wants us all in castle now. Say, what's in this? It tastes great. It's big red tomato, just in from the New World. Very exotic.
Good then. Great now. Heinz.
This rest app makes it super simple to choose my investments.
I wonder if finding a decent flatmate could be that simple.
Rest. Super simple.
That's the sound of you winning. Because while watching your team pick up their 3rd consecutive loss, you also managed to pick up pizza. Smash it. DoorDash it.
Kia's getting to you.
Yeah? What's it called?
The Volk's got a nice ring to it.
It should say Australian Open on it.
Have a look behind my cup. Kia Watson.
The Kia Tugger.
Oh, yeah, the big Dell.
Oliver.
Marty.
Get it.
Kia Tasman. That's pretty good.
Kia. Movement that inspires.
Oh, I'll get this. We're still up for ice skating, or is that on hold?
Thank you. We'll take it.
ANZ Falcon technology learns from thousands of data points on your transactions, so it can help spot the difference between you and fraud. Fraud protection. Now it's personal.
Homes aren't just where we live, they're where we belong. And realestate.com.au is Australia's home of homes, with more properties for sale and more home buyers.
And is that a bit from you, sir?
Visit realestate.com.au, Australia's #1 address in property.
Axe time! What are you doing? You said axe break? No, Tom. Tax break. Beaumonts have up to 50% off all tolls for tax time.
It's your early tax break. Up to 50% off now.
Make the switch to Red Energy on your next move and unpack up to 15,000 bonus Qantas points. Call 131 806.
Donald Jones Freedom Sale is on now with free double glazing, free solar, free kitchen upgrades and more. Plus save an incredible 65 grand off your new home. Find your freedom and start saving with McDonald Jones today. Conditions apply.
This report brought to you by Harvey Norman. Shop in store or at agn.com.au.
Rafael Nadal has endured the toughest test of his comeback so far, winning a 3-hour epic at the Madrid Open. The 22-time Grand Slam champion outlasted Argentinian Pedro Cachin 6-1, 6-7, 6-3 to advance, building his match fitness as he looks to the French Open. SailGP teams are starting to arrive in Bermuda for the 10th event of the series. Tom Slingsby's Team Australia is out for redemption, currently in second after copping a 10-point penalty in New Zealand. Practice gets underway on Friday. The Scone Thoroughbreds take on Muswellbrook this Saturday after bolting out of the gates in Group 21 Rugby League. The defending premiers have won their opening 2 games by more than 40 points.
Even after winning 4 premierships on the trot, the Thoroughbreds are showing no signs of slowing down.
It's big Isaac Austin. He's belted his way over the try line.
The front rower enjoyed a day out in Scone last weekend as his side had piled on the points.
A total miscommunication and following through was big Isaac Austin.
The Thoroughbreds' 46-4 win over Denman, sending a clear message to the rest of the competition.
And he gives it on to Riley Pennell, who now coasts right over under the black dot.
In fact, both 2023 grand finalists flexed their muscles in round 2.
He offloads to Zach Lennon. He's going to go under the sticks untouched, and we're a minute and a half into this game.
While Singleton provided some early resistance against Greta Brankston.
Sonny tries to roll it in, not played at. He'll pick it up, he'll score. That's a try. He will.
The Colts soon began to kick away from the home side.
And Zach Lennon pushes onto Billy Mitchell, and he's beat 3 defenders. And Billy Mitchell will go bring it all the way around under the post too.
The centre scored 3 tries to help his side to a big 58-16 win in what was their first game of the season.
Palms off Stafford again. Offload to Billy Mitchell.
The Colts play Aberdeen on Saturday, which is coming off 26-12 victory over Muswellbrook. Jack Howard, NBN News.
They won the Super W title with the Waratahs. Now Lane Morgan, Leilani Nathan and Maya Stewart have received call-ups to the Wallaroos. It means the Hunter players won't get much of a break after their grand final win. They'll pull on green and gold jerseys as soon as Saturday week. That game against Canada kicks off the Pacific 4 series, which also includes matches against the US and New Zealand. Speaking of starting campaigns on the right note, Lambton is now 8 from 8 in the NPL, but the Jaffers insist they aren't getting ahead of themselves as they prepare for a local derby. The Jaffers lifted the trophy in 2022 and 2023. And they look right on track in 2024 too, just 9 rounds in.
I think with the younger squad probably get carried away, but a few of the older boys, we keep ourselves grounded, but still a long way to go in the season.
But according to their keeper and captain, Ben Kennedy, the three-peat isn't being discussed within the squad.
Our main focus is just winning, and at the moment that's what we're doing. So, we're not too fussed how it comes about, and we take the win at the end of the day.
Cale Bradbury continues to impress. He's currently equal first in the Golden Boot race.
He's a goal scorer. He's done it for a number of years. He'll continue to score goals, and obviously you got him, and you got other boys as well. Matty Cahill.
The Jaffers are set to face the Magpies tonight in a round 6 catch-up game. After that, their focus shifts to arch rivals New Lambton, who've had an inconsistent start to the season.
That game's a bit of a local rivalry, and I guess the local derbies doesn't really matter where you're on the table. It's just kind of anything can happen on the day, and so we just got to turn up and focus on ourselves.
That match kicks off on Saturday at 2:30 p.m. And that's your look at sport. Thank you, Soph.
Thanks, Soph. The first rain band of this ongoing event is hitting us at the moment. Weather details next.
Mobile merry-go-round.
They can put a man on the moon, but I can't make a phone call on my own home.
Angry families say fix the mess. A current affair next.
There's a safety recall on solar system batteries branded LG, LG Chem, and some Solax products. Affected batteries may overheat and catch fire. Even if you have checked before, please check again.
This is an epic story of cosmic proportions.
Do you want to make out or?
Yes.
The Fall Guy in cinemas now.
Kia's getting to you.
Yeah? What's it called?
If you want a name that really qualifies, surely the Kia Aloisi.
Keep your shirt on, John. The Kia Macca.
I don't remember you kicking 1,000. The Kia Buddy.
Let's go, buddy. Oh, forget it. Oliver. Come on, Kia Macca.
Kia Tasman. That's pretty good.
Kia. Movement that inspires.
Here's a little thanks for...
They're more than chicken McNuggets. They're team builders. Get more for your money at Macca's with 24 chicken McNuggets for just $9.95.
Oh, this smells delicious. Is it creamy pigeon? No, creamy pumpkin. Really? Hey guys, we agreed? No tablets at the table.
Good then. Great now. Heinz.
This Mother's Day, Black Pepper is celebrating all the amazing women in our lives. Spend $100 in store or online and receive $20 off for a limited time only. It's time to spoil her or yourself and wear life well in Black Pepper.
Looking for a contemporary home at an affordable price? Discover unbeatable value at Domain Homes. Find out how you can save 10% and price your new home today at domainhomes.com.au.
It's time to book your next celebration with us. See you at the Braddy. thebradford.com.au.
We enjoy seeing the familiar faces of the tilers and builders coming through regularly. Become friends with them. We really do care about our customers and their experience.
Tiles for your walls, tiles for your floors, save more at Tile Warehouse.
Well, the wet weather, as expected, has arrived, and there's a lot more to come on and off for the next week at least. Straight to this evening's weather photo, the precursor to today's event, the high-level cloud, the wisps moving in, that is ice crystals, a nice little contrail there moving through. A little bit of a disk trail, that is the dark or the clear area as the plane moves through the ice crystals. You've got the low-level cloud making almost a 3D effect over the lake. Thank you, Dorothy. Now, this system moved in today, storms embedded in it, some heavy downpours. That there is the cold air that is going to catch up to it throughout tomorrow, and the cold air moving over that very warm East Australian current is going to make for some wet conditions in the form of showers. Rain finally coming down in Perth as well. First rain actually since 7 months ago, 7 to 8 months, the driest recorded period in between Perth and Bunbury in recorded history. Now there's the trough line stalling somewhat, but the cold air now linking up with it, pushing in, maintaining the shower activity along the coast. The internal trough line sitting there. We're eventually going to see a cold pool break off, link up with that, so that upper level low is going to help form a surface feature. Wet weather building right across the northern interior of New South Wales, Friday into Saturday, reaching us Sunday, and we may have a low form once it finds the warm waters of the East Australian current, and we may see that wet weather ramp up early next week, but the jury is still out on that formation. We'll keep tracking it in the coming days. Wet in between Brisbane and Sydney, fine and cool throughout the southeast. Alice, fine, lovely in Darwin, and more welcome. Wet weather, just showers though for Perth tomorrow. Heavy showers today at times, moving through, squalls rolling in off that ocean, coming through in rain bands, not as much falling throughout the upper Hunter. Very consistent southeasterly winds, strong along the coast, winning the argument through the day and driving right across the valley floor. There's that overnight rain band clearing moving through. Then the cold air interacts with that warm ocean, and we're going to see consistent clouds, southeasterly winds, moderately strong, and showers driving through tomorrow, and temperatures being held down. Most of the day is going to be in the teens. It's definitely going to feel like it with that wind chill factor. So it's going to be cool from here on in. The season's well and truly changing. So tops of 20 at best, but as I said, not really feeling like it at any one particular moment throughout tomorrow because of those winds and showers with smaller accumulations headed for the upper Hunter. Swell 2.5 metres, but messy and uninviting across our oceans and beaches tomorrow. Sun to rise 6:25, down 5:15, dropping to the low tomorrow morning at about 20 past 11. Swell building over 2 metres now, and out of the south is the direction. So showers over the next couple of days. We've got potentially rain ramping up as we move into the weekend with that upper level cold pool passing by and potentially forming an east coast low. Some of that rain falling throughout the upper Hunter. Heavier falls on the way for the central coast with flooding potential in it. Let's take a look at the surf. And well, today looking at Nobby's protected. All of this is going to change. You've got a new swell on the way. It's going to build. It's going to become very ordinary on our open beaches in the coming days. It is not going to be beach weather by any means for the remainder of the week. So the first band of heavy rain moving over the central coast, Newcastle, and now beginning to move into the mid-north coast.
It's everywhere. Thank you, Gav. That is our bulletin for this Tuesday.
So thanks for your company from all of the NBN team.
Good night.
Good night.
Hello, I'm Ali Langdon. Welcome to A Current Affair. It started with a bang, but ended up bust. Bonza, the budget airline that promised so much, is in voluntary administration, with its planes repossessed, finances in freefall, and reputation in tatters. So is there any coming back? And where does it leave passengers and staff?
If you don't have money to spend for going home, we're stuck here.
You know, our kids have all booked with Bonza for their family holidays, in a few months, and, it's, they're really disappointed now.
As Bonza customers arrived at airports this morning, there was no fanfare, no friendly staff, only chaos.
Probably just more notice would have been good.
I've actually had my father pass away last night.
So, from Melbourne to Maroochydore on the Sunshine Coast, where the airline is based, the mood was anything but Bonza.
I've paid an awful lot of money for a holiday that was supposed to start tomorrow night up in Darwin, and I haven't got a flight out of here, and I've got connecting tours.
Small business owner Sarah, one of many customers struggling for information.
This is my planned holiday, which I haven't had for a long time, and I was worried. So I have been diligent in actually contacting them, making sure that there was nothing wrong with my flight out of here tomorrow night. And there is, and I don't have an alternative at this moment.
Dana and baby Elsie also stranded.
Pretty stressed out. As you can imagine, I've got a 1-year-old. It's my first time travelling without my husband. And we were due to fly to Tamworth where he was going to meet me, but obviously that didn't happen. It isn't going to happen.
It was meant to be our low-cost, ultra-Aussie airline, but Bonza didn't even get off the ground today. Every single flight wiped from departure boards across the country. Its signage gone from all check-in counters inside here on the Sunshine Coast. It's fair to say Bonza is in big trouble.
On the plane coming up, there was so many empty seats.
It
probably wasn't a huge surprise.
The Bonza head office is off limits. Airport counters abandoned. A Bonza plane being towed, a sign of the turbulence to come. By mid-morning, Bonza CEO Tim Jordan issued a statement confirming the worst.
Bonza has temporarily suspended services due to be operated today, as discussions are currently underway regarding the ongoing viability of the business. We apologise to our customers who are impacted by this, and we're working as quickly as possible to determine a way forward that ensures there is ongoing competition in the Australian domestic aviation market.
I should have been up there now and with my mum, my brother and my other family.
Tracy Hilbert was supposed to fly out of Melbourne to Gladstone after her dad, Leslie, passed away last night.
Shit. I started crying because my father passed away at 00:35 in the morning and I was awake, so I haven't had much sleep.
Instead, she was forced to pay over $1,000 to get an alternate flight to Brisbane, where we caught up with her.
That's just not on. Either run your airline properly or give it to a person that can actually go and do it. If Bonza's gone down the tube, in my eyes.
It's a real shame that customers like Tracy, had to suffer like that, and one hopes that doesn't happen again.
Flight Centre customers were also caught up in the drama, CEO Graham Turner.
Yet I couldn't get any information this morning.
By late this afternoon, Bonza was officially placed into voluntary administration. Today's customers now joining the long queue, already waiting for a refund that may never come.
It should be illegal.
Steve Milverton and his family were supposed to fly from Mildura, Victoria to the Gold Coast. A month on, he's still waiting to get his money back. Now there's little hope.
It can take anything from a day to a couple of weeks for them to even respond to a text message on their chat.
Vietnam veteran Iba Harris has been waiting since December after a cancelled flight to Sydney.
A lot of people are doing it tough out there, and to be waiting for your own money to come back can be difficult.
Because we're sorry about what's happened. It's not who we are. Our DNA is about making the aviation industry here in Australia better.
This was Bonza CEO Tim Jordan previously talking to A Current Affair after a slew of complaints about the airline's conduct.
It's very important that we execute well. We haven't done that.
Today, the Bonza boss wasn't available to address uncertainty about the airline's future. Neither were his staff at the head office on the Sunshine Coast.
Today, we've got passengers left stranded again and workers with their jobs on the line yet again.
Michael Caine from the Transport Workers Union is seeking an urgent meeting with Bonza.
We have to support companies that are trying their best to carve out a good future for Australia in the aviation sector, servicing regional communities.
They are relatively small and they've only got 4 aircraft, so it's not too hard to get wrong.
Quentin Long is the co-founder of Australian Traveller.
It is not actually being disclosed in the market what their finances are. However, there are some rumblings out of the US that may impact their financing here in Australia.
Bonza's potential demise means 21 travel routes could be wiped off the departures board for good.
I hope that Bonza will be able to refund because it's cost an extra good couple of $100 to now fly. I have very low expectation that will happen.
Just Bonza, get your finger out and give me my money back ASAP, not drag it on for months.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's going to happen. What a mess. But aviation expert Jeffrey Thomas joins me now. Not too many answers from Bonza today, Jeffrey, but what went wrong?
Look, no, Ali, it's a very, very sad day for Australian aviation, very sad for the passengers and for the staff. What went wrong? Well, it appears as though The problem lies with the airline's backers in the United States, 777 Partners. It appears from various reports that they've had some financial difficulties, which are still a little bit unclear. What we do know is the owners of the lease of those 4 aircraft changed yesterday, and the aircraft were repossessed this morning, which precipitated the cancellations and precipitated the slip into administration. Bonza itself, good operation, a good business model, but the problem laid in the United States.
Yes, I'm not sure if passengers will feel the same as you today, Jeffrey. As we saw today, so many of them stranded, others waiting to be refunded for cancelled flights. Will any of them get their money back?
It's unclear at this stage whether they will. They typically become unsecured creditors. It depends on whether they've taken out travel insurance, which is sort of a really important thing to do, particularly in this post-COVID world where there's been quite a lot of travel disruption because of a whole range of factors. But, look, certainly it's a terrible day for the travellers, absolutely. It's a terrible day for the staff, and it's a great shame that financial problems in the United States end up impacting on travellers and staff.
Yeah, I mean, as you've just mentioned there with staff, they woke up this morning to learn they no longer have a job. We have heard rumours for a while, though, that Bonza was in trouble. So was today's move really a surprise?
Yes, you're right, Ali. There have been some rumours, a couple of stories about some sort of disquiet, some sort of problems. But no, the swiftness of what happened overnight and this morning has taken the whole industry by surprise. And we all thought that they would work this out. Their backers would work out their problems, because it is a large company. 777 Partners in Miami is a very significant operator. And supposedly well-heeled, but possibly not.
I think the problem that Bonza has faced since it launched in January last year has been issues with reliability. We've seen so many flights cancelled. Surely that's hurt the airline.
Look, it has, and there's been reasons for that, because in this post-COVID environment, Qantas and Virgin also have had all sorts of problems, and not necessarily of their making. It's because of shortages within the aviation industry after COVID. That's been the big problem. But yes, you're right. They have had to cancel services. They've promoted different new routes. They've had to cancel those. So yes, there's been a lot of disquiet, which makes, the ongoing situation with Bonza very precarious.
We've got to keep in mind in the industry, Bonza is quite small, that there are 4 planes in operation. But what Bonza has done is it goes to places that other airlines don't. So what does it mean for those small regional towns?
Look, indeed, you're absolutely right. What they've done is it's a successful model. It's worked overseas. They connect towns that are not connected. So instead of, if you want to fly from A to C, with Bonza you could fly non-stop. Whereas previously you had to go through B being Sydney or Brisbane or Melbourne, which made it a longer journey, more expensive, and less attractive. So that the model was good, but yes, they were only a small operation, but those towns and those cities will be impacted, and hopefully Jetstar and others will fill the void and say, look, yeah, this wasn't a bad idea. We'll fly this route now ourselves, because Jetstar, for instance, in the Qantas group, just for an example, they're getting 1 new aeroplane every 3 weeks for the next 3 years. So there's lots of aeroplanes coming in, and yeah, why not try some of these routes that Bonza had pioneered?
Okay, so look, I guess the big question is, can Bonza come back from this, or is Bonza grounded for good?
My sense, I would love them to come back, but my sense is with the damage to the reputation, not just from what's happened today, but over the last few months, it would be very, very hard for them to come back from here because of the lack of confidence by the travelling public.
Well, that's it. If you're wanting to book a flight at the moment, you're not going to have any confidence, are you, in Bonza, considering what we've seen happen? And I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens next. Thanks, Jeffrey.
Pleasure.
They've made us question our identity as a nation. a spate of violent attacks that have no place in the lucky country. At the weekend, it was thousands who stood up against domestic violence. Today, it was victims of youth crime taking to the streets to demand more from our leaders.
I want you to touch this because I want you to get this one thing in your mind.
It was a rally demanding solutions to fix youth crime, but it became an opportunity for victims to grill a premier face to face.
This is all I got from my government, from my country that I live in and want to feel safe in. This is all I got. A business card from my detective or my sergeant that helped me on that day.
Leonie Mulheron was the victim of a carjacking and assault in Rockhampton last August. The teenage offenders released on sentence day with time already served.
A very difficult pill to swallow. It was the worst case scenario, and that's exactly what I expected from the laws that we have, and unfortunately that's exactly what they got. They got let free.
She took her opportunity to ensure Premier Stephen Miles knew what little victim support is available.
From the moment you hit that pavement, when you've been carjacked, assaulted, hurt, victims need more than a business card.
I agree.
And I'm sorry, this is not good enough for a government.
She was one of hundreds to march through the streets of Brisbane in the Voice for Victims rally, among them Russell Field.
Time and time again, victims of crime are left by the wayside and the perpetrators get all the assistance. It's about time those roles reverse.
Russell knows that imbalance well. His son Matthew Field and fiancée Kate Ledbetter, along with their unborn son Miles, were killed by a teenage criminal in a stolen vehicle on Australia Day 3 years ago. The juvenile offender sentenced to just 6 years for the loss of 3 lives.
Do you think the government's listening to victims? Well, they haven't been in the past.
Also here, Victor White, husband of Violene, who was murdered whilst going to the shops at Redbank Plains 2 months ago, allegedly by a teenager.
What do you hope the government will hear out of this rally today?
That's a very good question. They'll hear what they want to hear, eh?
There were many more here who haven't suffered loss of this magnitude but want to show their support.
It's crazy, mate. Everyone's like a prisoner in their own home at the moment, so and nothing's been done about it.
Change the rules and get tougher penalties. You know, when we were younger, we weren't going to do all that. We weren't out in the street.
They marched to Queensland's Parliament House hoping their stories would be heard.
Enough is enough! Enough is enough! Enough is enough!
In the first victims' rally held last August, then Premier Anastasia Palaszczuk remained inside her ivory tower. Today, her replacement, Stephen Miles, did come out to face the music, wandering into the large crowd, ready to listen.
Who's told to get no support? Yeah, we need to do better. It's not good enough.
But I'm not the only one. There's hundreds of us.
Thank you.
Russell Field was able to get an audience, the first time any Premier has met with him.
This is Russell Field.
Hello, Russell.
Hey, how are you? You who I am?
I do, yes. Thank you for coming in.
But under further questioning, it seemed Premier Miles didn't know.
Why am I here?
You want to share your story about how we can be better, is that right?
No, am I a victim? What? Do you know I'm a victim?
Yes.
Okay, what happened to me?
Tell me.
Well, you should know.
Please share your story.
Russell Field then explaining the details of that shocking crime which made headlines across Australia.
Now, if you, the Deputy Premier of the state at the time, and Premier now don't know that event, something is wrong.
I know that event.
Well, why didn't you say before?
Because I wanted to hear from you. I'm here to hear your story.
The Premier was willing to speak with anyone wanting to be heard, and later meeting privately with more victims.
How's it felt hearing some of these stories firsthand today, Premier?
Well, it's not the first time I've heard them, obviously, but these experiences are devastating for people.
I mean, how many more broken people do they need to see before they do something?
Violene White's daughter Cindy, one of many here, demanding juveniles be sentenced to adult time for adult crimes.
I mean, we go and bump someone off, we're going to cop it. They know what they're doing. So they just know there's no consequence to doing it.
Well, Premier Miles has at least come out to speak firsthand with the victims and hear their stories direct. Many of them remain concerned as to whether he and his government are truly listening.
I agree. This needs to be better. Yes.
Remember this card.
I will. Yes.
You got that message across very powerfully to him. Do you think he and his government are really listening, that things will change?
But it needs to happen now, not for election time, because every year we wait means we've got hundreds of thousands of more people affected.
Exactly, but look, at least the Premier showed up. It is a start. He also promised $1.2 billion to target crime and provide greater support for victims. But how many times will we have to take to the streets before we feel safe? Coming up, the houses are new, but the owners are constantly on hold. New housing estates in a twilight zone.
Of all the streets in the world, Georgia, on Modern Street, I can't make a phone call.
A chesty cough brings disruption and discomfort. Find relief with new Strepsils Herbal Chesty Cough Lozenges from Chemist Warehouse. Its triple relief formula effectively breaks up mucus to clear congestion, helps soothe the sore throat and relieve the chesty cough. Now that's 3 benefits in one pack and for a great price. Strepsils Herbal Chesty Cough Lozenges 32s are only $9.99 at Chemist Warehouse. Get back to those precious moments with Strepsils. Live, look, feel well at Chemist Warehouse.
Watch me now. I am the Venus of the night. Watch me now.
Swarovski. Priya's birthday's tomorrow, and Dan has definitely not forgotten. That's why we're working to provide more next day express deliveries, so it wouldn't even matter if he has. You ask, we deliver at Australia Post.
So I heard you're back in town and haven't changed a bit, man. Time you get what you deserve.
Both teams getting ready to battle.
So you wanna fight me? Are you big enough?
Skill, power, and passion. This is intense as footy gets. We are ready for Origin footy.
For
the first time in women's Origin history, a blockbuster 3-match series.
Oh, baby, don't tell me I didn't warn you. It's a huge game for those women out on the big stage.
Ampol Women's State of Origin, exclusive, live and free. Only on 9 and 9 now.
If your credit card debt is keeping you up at night, move your balance to a NAB low-rate card and save on interest with 0% per annum on balance transfers for 28 months, so you can get your finances and your sleep back on track. NAB, more than money.
This Mother's Day, Black Pepper is celebrating all the amazing women in our lives. Spend $100 in store or online and receive $20 off for a limited time only. It's time to spoil her or yourself and wear life well in Black Pepper.
Gaslight, a new psychological thriller starring Geraldine Hakewell, Toby Schmitz, and legend Kate Fitzpatrick. Madness or manipulation? You be the judge. 7 shows only. Civic Theatre, gaslightplay.com.au.
Looking for a contemporary home at an affordable price? Discover unbeatable value at Domain Homes. Find out how you can save 10% and price your new home today at domainhomes.com.au.
It's the booming housing estate with all the mod cons except one. There's no mobile phone reception. For years, residents have been begging for something to be done, but they're still on hold.
We have to pretty much yell on the phone and they still can't hear us. Hello?
It's 2024. This shouldn't be happening.
All they want is one simple, bare necessity.
Georgia, can you hear me?
You can't make a call. You can't receive a call.
My wife can't contact me when I'm outside the house.
For the people of Clyde North, that bare necessity is to make a simple phone call.
Hello? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's very muffled. And you're breaking up. I can't hear her and I'm just a few metres out the front of their home. This must be so frustrating for a family of 3. Shahani, are you there? Can't hear her.
It's the Melbourne suburb, 46 kilometres from the CBD, booming with new builds and families settling in.
We came here for a better life, for better quality of life, and we can't even get the bare minimum.
Shahani and husband Jacintha purchased land in Arana Estate in 2021. And like their neighbours down the road, Peter and Brianna, they all expected by the time they moved in, phone reception would be a given.
See all these other houses being built, other people are living here, so you assume things are going to get on the right track.
But for years, they've patiently waited for a phone tower to bring with it phone reception. We even visited the residents of Clyde North back in 2022.
Are you getting reception?
No, nothing.
I've got 1 bar.
Almost 2 years on, and our visit this time went much the same.
Right here is sort of the best spot in the house where I've got to get right up here, Georgia. We wouldn't have purchased this house in this area if we knew that there was going to be no phone reception.
Brianna Prinzi is a first home buyer planning her wedding, and living in Clyde North is making that almost impossible.
I have to plan my life around making calls elsewhere in different areas.
Like her neighbours, Brianna relies solely on Wi-Fi inside her home. Outside it, she doesn't feel safe.
I don't feel safe going for a walk in the estate because there's no service.
So how do your friends and family contact you?
All of them know to contact me either through iMessage or Facebook Messenger, but my mum had to get a whole new phone completely. She's gone from Samsung to iPhone.
Around the corner, Peter Ashton has just moved in.
Of all the streets in the world, Georgia, on Modern Street, I can't make a phone call.
Peter's already finding that working from home is an embarrassment.
My colleagues are saying to me, like, why did you move out there?
The residents of Arana Estate say they've been robbed of much of the lifestyle they were promised by developers. Because in the streets of Clyde North, a mobile phone is basically useless.
We can't get Uber Eats.
They get lost somewhere on the way.
But it's Shahani's health condition that concerns them the most.
I have what's called hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. Although I haven't had episodes yet, there is the risk of sudden cardiac arrest.
On its website, developer Belkin Group promotes Arana Estate as being located in one of the fastest growing municipalities in the country, the city of Casey, adding it's one of Melbourne's most livable cities. Yet the City of Casey Council was placed into administration over allegations of corruption in 2020.
I just wish Casey City Council and the telcos would actually get together and work it out.
So they can put a man on the moon, but I can't make a phone call on my own home.
He makes a very good point, and there's some good news at long last for those families. Telstra has finally agreed to put up a phone tower, and work starts next month. Up next, how Izzy fell through the cracks, the cruel NDIS loophole labelling her a waste of money.
That was the hardest day to hear those words.
The good life has
good for more than just bulky biceps, bodacious booties. It's good for snoring and she who hates snoring. Good for brain muscles, heart muscles, glute muscles. Good for social time, selfie time, anytime. Good life. Good for life.
Imagine being dropped into the most hostile, merciless environment on Earth.
Help me! The wind, pick it up! Oh, we've got to get across! This is insane.
With only 15 days to haul $1 million to the top.
I've played Survivor. Survivor's got nothing on this.
How far will they go to survive?
You should all be watching your backs because you've got a lot of snakes in the grass here, guys.
And what will they sacrifice to reach the summit?
This is insane.
I really want to get out. Oh, and this year, the Mountain's Keeper isn't the only thing out there.
I've got something to prove, and I am not slowing down.
The new summit.
Wouldn't be the summer without a few surprises.
Starts Sunday, May 12 on 9.
The association.
Coming through.
Oh, someone got Revitive. Keep active with Revitive.
Mother's Day sale on now.
Try Hungry Jack's new Bourbon Street Whopper with crispy onion rings and bourbon barbecue sauce. Or fall in love with Bourbon Street Jack's Fried Chicken. New Bourbon Street Jack's Fried Chicken and Whopper. The burgers are better at Hungry Jack's.
The countdown is on and Rivers Mother's Day deals are going off. PJs for the missus now $9.47. Uggs for mum now $35.29. Knitwear for nan now $9.63. And heaps more. Rush in and save big this Mother's Day. Only at Rivers.
However these 6 symptoms of acid reflux feel to you, Gaviscon Dual Action acts in the stomach to neutralise acid fast and form a protective layer. For 6 symptoms, think Gaviscon. Home, grown, fields, sown.
Up north.
South, east, out west. Fresh Aussie fruit and veg, the best. Picking Australian fruit and veg first. That's today's fresh food people.
Water and electricity don't mix. And I know exactly where this EV is going to wind up.
Mitsubishi Outlander plug-in hybrid EV. Australia ready.
That went well.
At Domain Homes, we meet people like these two every day. Searching for a home with contemporary design at an affordable price. Domain Homes offers unbeatable value. So you really can have it all. So you can start doing more of this and plenty of this. Even this is fun. Find out how you can save 10% and price your new home today at domainhomes.com.au.
Well, girls and boys, it's been another very exciting day for our friend Big Dog. But now it's time for Big Dog to say goodnight. Good night, Big Dog. Good night, girls and boys. Sweet dreams.
Tomorrow night, an angry mum and a system that's broken.
Have a heart for Izzy.
I'll be devastated not to work. I've grown so much.
The NDIS told Mum her daughter wasn't valued for money.
I don't think that it's a waste of money. I want the best for my child.
Help her beautiful girl.
Please, just listen.
We'll have that story tomorrow, and that's our program. I'm Ali Langdon. Thanks for your company. Have a great evening.